it's Neva. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to teach you how to plan your 10-year, 5-year, and 1-year goals for your real estate business. I'm going to use rental properties as an example for this video to show you how you can start with big goals and then wind them down to small, manageable chunks of activities that you know that you need to work on each day and each week to attain these big goals. So the key thing is I want you, when you write down your goals, to follow the SMART system. And the SMART system is that your goals are going to be specific, measurable, achievable, results focused, and time bound. Always make sure you put a time on when you need to accomplish the goal by. You have a 10-year goal of, hey, in 10 years, I want to own 50 rental properties, for an example. And then for your 5-year goal, you can say, hey, I should be midway there. So in 5 years, I should own 25 rental properties. And then for a 1-year goal, you can have for, hey, in 1 year, I want to attain my first rental property. And I say that because your first year, you're starting to learn everything. And so you're doing research and planning and executing at the same time. I have found, like, for rentals that once you do your first 1 to 4 properties, and after that it starts to move really quickly because you learned the system, you built the network, and
so now that you know what your goals are, it's time to break them down into manageable chunks. It's much easier to think about adding 1 rental property to your portfolio as opposed to 50 rental properties. So I use Trello, so I'm just going to use Trello in this example to show you how you can go from having a 10-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 1-year plan to having manageable tasks to work on to acquire your goals. So here you can see, you can come in here, you can just create these are called cards in Trello. So here your 10-year plan is own 50 cash flowing rental properties. And then this card has your 5-year plan. You could say, hey, I want to be halfway there, so I should have about 25 rental properties. And then here you have your 1-year plan. So here, the 1-year plan is where I recommend that you get more detailed and create milestones. And then from your milestones, you're going to create tasks that you work on weekly. So for instance, here I went in and I created first quarter goals, and these are just examples. So like first quarter goals could be attain pre-approval for financing for first rental property. Another one could be pay down personal debt of $20,000, or take a training course on acquiring first rental property. So these are some great examples of first quarter goals that you can work on towards at the end of the year you would have your first rental property. And then second quarter goals could be, hey, you're going to research the rental market, decide on a location that you want to buy the property. And then third quarter goals could be you're going to literally start to actively search for properties to buy. Another one could be do investment property analysis. And then by fourth quarter, hey, you're doing your home inspection, you're doing your appraisal, you're hiring a real estate agent, things like that. And then, close your first deal. So I didn't put the label. I could show you just in Trello. For the labels, you just go in here. These are what you just create. In Trello, and these are milestones. So what I'm saying is this is way more manageable. So you could have, I always say to have quarter milestones, because at the end of each quarter you can assess if you're on track or not. And even within having your quarterly goals and your monthly goals, I still think you should go even more detailed and start to have weekly goals. So I'll show you. I did this one. I set it up as an example. For this card, you have attain pre-approval for financing. So I just listed a couple things. Say when you go to start talking to different lenders, just different things they're going to tell you you need to have to get approved for the loan. So you can then create a checklist within this milestone, and they can tell you, hey, you're going to need $12,000 for a down payment. You're going to need to have a credit score of at least 680. You're going to need to show proof of 2 years job history and things. You're going to need to have cash available for 6 months of expenses. And they're going to tell you things like maintain a consistent low debt to income ratio. So then you have, these are within that milestone. This is way more manageable of all the things just for financing they may tell you need. Then to have like a weekly goal, if they're saying, hey, you need to have $12,000 by the time we close in December, hey, break that down. If I need to save $12,000, that means, hey, each month I need to be saving $1,000. And I can break it down even more and say, hey, each week I need to save $230.77. And then you can just set up like an auto withdrawal from your paycheck that, hey, every week when I get paid, it's going to automatically, put $230.77 in this other account that I'm saving for my down payment for my first rental property. So you see how through each week, through each month, you're accomplishing things to know if you're on track or not, as opposed to if you just keep this big goal of, I want to acquire 50 rental properties. That is not really manageable in your head to do. And I would even say, the reason I made the goal for one rental property first is that this one rental property, you're also learning the process. So I would even say usually by the time you get to 4 rental properties, you start to move even faster because you know the process at this time. You've made connections, you have a network, all those things. But this is way more manageable and will keep you on track. And, this has helped me so much. So that's why I say you got to break your goals down so that you start to have monthly and you start to have weekly tasks. You're doing a checklist. And then, like I said here, this is a perfect example. First quarter check-in, you can check. Listen, at the end of April, I should have $3,000. So then you should look, how much money do you have? Did you do extra? Did you maybe get an income tax return and you put an extra $2,000 in that account? So instead of $3,000, you have $5,000. Are you over? Did you have an emergency? And, at the end of the first quarter, instead of having $3,000, you only have $2,000. So now maybe, hey, going forward, I need to increase the auto withdrawals so that I get to my $12,000 by the end of the year. You don't want to get all the way to August, all the way to September to try to do an assessment of, hey, am I on track to save $12,000? That's what I'm saying. It's all about having a goal and making it manageable and then working on that each day. So you see how these are creating tasks for you to do each day, tasks for you to do each week, and you're staying on track.
Now, something that has been helpful for me is that after you do your goals, initially, I got this from Grant Cardone where he talks about 10xing your goals and things like that. And it's like, say for instance, you started off with, you wanted to have 50 properties in 10 years. You would 10x that amount and say, instead of 50, then that would be 500. Now, the key that I found with this method that really helps is that you do not achieve more than what you originally go after, right? And so, meaning if your goal is to make $1 million, you're not going to make 2. That's just like how it works. I don't know, somehow maybe psychologically in our brains or whatever, but you never actually obtain more than what you went after. So the 10x, what I find is really great is if you change it from 50 to 500, you're going after 500. So you may attain, say you don't really hit 500, but you may attain 300. But the numbers just don't work in your favor, that you could have a goal of 50 and then somehow you just like, oh, I don't know, I just ended up with 300. So that's another thing to add onto your goals after you're done, if you want to implement that in your method, because really he's saying, hey, just start off with something that it may feel unachievable, but what I have found the best thing from it is that it pushes me a little further and I accomplish a bit more than I originally set out. So like I said, I would recommend at least choose one goal in your real estate investment business that you 10x. You don't have to 10x your entire real estate plan, but I would say, hey, just pick one area of your business that you decide to 10x when you make your goals.